I am going to use this because I am a wee bit sick. Okay? So I apologize for the raspiness. Is this my third year speaking here? Yes. And I do a lot of speaking throughout the year to a lot of different types of audiences, business audiences, young gymnasts, young athletes, well, you name it, I speak to them. And quite honestly, this audience, this is my third year, you all are the most daunting audience that I speak in front of. And I know exactly the reason why. It's because you are all strong, capable, and accomplished people. You are all titans. And you all happen to be women. And think about it. You put those two things together, and the possibilities are endless for what we do. And that is the reason why every year when I'm asked to speak, and I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be speaking to all of you that are exactly high five each other. Seriously. It is daunting, but I am honored to be here, and I'm excited to be here, and I just keep telling myself that I'm one of you, so it's okay that I'm here. Some of you have gotten to know each other over the last few days. I don't know any of you, okay? But I do know, and I can say with absolute certainty, that I do know that you all are passionate about something. And I do know that you have vision for something that you would like to do to make the world a better place. And I do know that you all have the fortitude and the desire to work your plan and work it every single day. And if some of you feel that you haven't quite gotten there or you haven't quite formulated that plan, please start doing so, because you would not be sitting in this room if you didn't have all of these tremendous qualities. That's what I do know about you. Excuse me. We all have a story to tell. And all of you, I hope that at some point you do share your stories, because they're very important. We all tell stories that are inspiring for each other. And those are really, really important stories, which is why I'm so honored to be asked to tell you mine. As it was introduced, my story at UCLA started in 1982. I was a professional ballet dancer, and my dream was to come to UCLA, to go to school, because I hadn't gone to school, and I love school. So I was in Washington, D.C., and I heard UCLA needed a dance coach for their gymnastics team. And I heard UCLA and dance. And I put those things together, and I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to go do that. So without any hesitation, I called up the head coach of the UCLA team, and I told him my credentials. They flew me out for an interview, and he said, we don't have a salary for you, but we can offer you a full scholarship to go to school. Would you like to do that? And I said, yes, thank you very much. And I came as the dance coach and choreographer for the UCLA gymnastics team. And I got a degree in history. And I was thrilled because I was going to go be a journalist, because that's what I really, really wanted to do. And in 1990, I was called into the athletic director's office, and she said, we've always had a talented team, but we've never been able to win the national championship. We're going to go a different direction with our head coach, coaching position, and we would like for you to be the new head coach. And I literally laughed out loud. And I think I remember saying, you have to be crazy. I hope I didn't say that, but I do think I did say that. And I said, you have to be crazy. I've never gone upside down. I have never flipped. I have never participated in an athletic team. I am a dancer. I grew up on the stage. I don't know the first thing about coaching. I don't like sweatpants, and I don't like tennis shoes. I like pretty dresses, and I like heels. This is not going to work. And she said, we feel you have tremendous leadership skills. I'm going to help you hone them, and you hire people to teach the flipping and twisting. I said, okay, I got it. I'll do that. Now, remember, I grew up on stage, which is basically acting. I can do that. I'm gonna go act like a coach. So I started studying coaches. And in my mind, which I'm sure a lot of you probably think of, coaches are tough-minded, tough-talking, relentless, unwavering. They have this walk. Nobody crosses them. You do not question the head coach. I got this. No problem. We go to the national championships, and we finished worse than we ever had. We finished dead last. So I thought, I need to study harder. So I literally looked up all of the coaches that I had heard that were these relentless, tough-talking coaches, and I mimicked better. And I learned to say things like, winners make adjustments and losers make excuses. And when you say that with like those eyes, it's very powerful. And my favorite one was, no, that was my favorite one. The first one I learned was go hard or go home. We never said that in ballet. Winners make adjustments and losers make excuses. There's no winning in ballet. And inside I'm chuckling as I'm saying this. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is so silly, but this is so much fun because I'm acting, okay? So the second year, we did even worse. We didn't even make it to the national championships. So I literally was on my way to the athletic director's office after my second year, and I was walking through the student union. I just had lunch. And I walked through the bookstore, and I saw a book by the legendary John Wooden, who had won, I knew he had won 10 national championships, but that's really all I knew about him, and I'm not proud to say that, because I had already been at UCLA now 10 years. I should have known more about him, but I didn't. And which is really interesting, he was not one of the coaches I chose to look up and mimic, because he wasn't known as this tough-minded, tough-talking, relentless, So he wasn't like that paradigm of a coach. I picked up a book of his on leadership, and it fell open to his definition of success. I thought, okay, I'll read this. And it said, success is peace of mind, which is a direct result in knowing that you've done the best that you're capable of becoming. And I read further because he'd won 10 championships, so he must talk about success being about winning, right? Success is winning. Success is medals. Success is trophies. Success is then when you win, you get more money. So success is earning a certain paycheck. That's success. Success is the corner office. So I read it again. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result in knowing you've done the best you can to become the best you're capable of becoming. And it sounded so vanilla to me. It's like, that isn't a coach. How did he win all those championships with a definition of success like that? And I read it again, and I read it again, and I read it again. And I was just mesmerized by this. And finally, I had the biggest aha moment of my life. Success is simply peace of mind. And that peace of mind is a direct result in becoming the best that you are capable of becoming. I had been trying to be someone else. And I had this very clear realization that when you try to be someone else and you compare yourself to someone else, you will always be a second-rate them. And the worst part is it prohibits you from being a first-rate you. I had the biggest aha moment of my life. I went back to my office. I didn't go to the athletic director's office to resign. I went back to my office. I shut the door, and I said, okay, what do I bring to the table? Why did they see something in me to lead one of the best athletic teams in the country as a dancer, ballet dancer, choreographer? I said, okay, what do I got? Well, I studied classical ballet for 17 years. I know about hard work. I know about discipline. I know about working through pain. I know how to prepare for performance season, which started with the Nutcracker. And like our athletes, they prepare for competition season. And most importantly, as a female I knew what it was like to go through my teens and my 20s in a leotard. I knew what it was like to have body images, body self-image issues. I knew what it was like to be judged by how you look. I knew how to work through all of that. Isn't that exactly what gymnasts do? And most importantly, I knew how to prepare well enough so that when I was standing in the wings, ready to go on stage, I was calm and confident. And with that calm and confidence, I was able to be vibrant and enthusiastic on stage. And that's exactly what gymnasts need to do. As they're preparing to salute to get up on 4 inches, that balance beam, which is a very odd event, but whatever. If you are not confident and if you are not calm, you go up there with this posture of insecurity. There is no way you can stay on 4 inches if you are insecure about anything. If you have negative thoughts going through your head, you will not be successful. So fake it until you make it, ladies. You tell yourself you're calm, you're confident. You get that taut, like I tell them, liquid gold feeling through your body that is invincible. Because then you give yourself the chance of being successful, which is such a great metaphor for life. And when I realized that that was the biggest part of what I could bring to this job, it was like, I got this. I can do this job. I will hire people to teach them how to flip and twist, but I can do that part as well as any other gymnastics coach in the country. I got this. And once I stopped with all that nonsense, that coach talk nonsense, once I stopped being authentic and true to who I was, I started being authentic to my student athletes. And once you're authentic and real with people, then they start believing in you. And then I became a leader worth following. And it wasn't until then that I started to see the culmination of me nurturing these young women to be all that they could be, their own personal definition of success, combined with the fact that we are UCLA. I can recruit talent. Coach Wooden will be the first person to tell you you can't win without talent. But one of the things I do best, that I am most known for, is I take the diversity amongst our team, and I don't want you to be like her. I want you to be you. I want you to be you. And I got the greatest compliment of my life 2 years ago. I was told, you have the most diverse team in the country. And I said, okay. And I thought they were talking about our ethnicity, which is true, we do. And it was Bart Connor, who was a 1984 gold medalist, Olympian. He said, you celebrate each of your girls' individuality, and you help nurture them to be the best that they can be as individuals. You have proven, Miss Val, with your team, that when you celebrate diversity, it is actually unifying versus divisive. I was like, you could not have given me a better compliment. So with all of that, that started turning into the success as translated in athletics, and that was winning. And yes, we got that down pat. We've won a lot. We've won 6 national championships and lots of other awards. In 2010, I was inducted into the UCLA Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm only one of 2 sitting coaches to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I remember getting the letter and just plopping in the chair, and I remember thinking, maybe I am a coach. And it wasn't 2010, it was our championship we won in 2004. The LA Times did an article on Coach Wooden and me. And the reporter said, well, you're becoming the next John Wooden. And I just started, saying, no, because Coach Wooden is like here. He's like St. John, And before I could say anything, Coach Wooden said, why would she want to be another John Wooden when she can be a great Valerie Kondos Field? And with that, it took everything that I had learned from him so many years earlier about the definition of success and just brought it to life. Okay, so I'm chugging along with life, And I've figured things out pretty well, including knowing when to admit that I've made mistakes, right? Because we all do that daily. So just say you're sorry and move on. In 2015, I'm hit with something I hadn't planned for. I get a call from my doctor that I have breast cancer. So I hadn't planned for that, never even thought about it. There's nobody on either side of my family that has breast cancer. And as I'm getting this news, I'm numb because the only exposure I've had to cancer was 25 years prior. My mother died of a horrific colon cancer. It was horrible. And as I'm literally sitting there thinking, this is what I'm going to be going through, I hear very clearly, be anxious for nothing and grateful for all things. What? And I heard it twice. And I remember, whether you think of this or you interpret this as the universe or cosmic energy, however you individually translate this, I translated it as God saying to me, be anxious for nothing. And I remember saying out loud, God, this is very odd you're telling me this right now because I just got the news I have breast cancer. So this be anxious for nothing thing isn't resonating with me very well. And I went home and I told my husband the not so great news. And I told him about hearing, be anxious for nothing and grateful for all things. And he said, yeah, it's from the Bible. I said, what? He says, yeah, go look it up. So I went and looked it up. And sure enough, in Philippians 4, it says, be anxious for nothing. And paraphrased, and be grateful for all things. I was like, my universe stopped. I heard this before I'd ever read it. This was not a suggestion. This was a commandment. And it was a commandment that I could choose to obey or not. I chose to obey. But I didn't know how I was going to obey. Be anxious for nothing. How am I supposed to do that? I just got the news that I have breast cancer. By being grateful for all things. Okay. So when my doctor said to me, I got news for you. Had you been diagnosed 5 years ago, we had nothing for your type of breast cancer. You've gone from having the worst type of breast cancer to the best type. Because we now know there's a chemo cocktail that will work for you. And if you'll agree to get the chemo, you're going to go through a year of chemotherapy, and then you're going to have some surgery, but I'm pretty certain you're going to be fine. And that's when the grateful for all things kicked in, and I got it. I don't have to get chemo. I get to get chemo. I get to have chemotherapy because I live at a time and an age that science has produced this chemo cocktail. I get to have chemotherapy because I live in a country where I can get chemotherapy. I get to get chemo because I have health insurance that's going to help me pay for this chemotherapy. I don't have to have surgery. I get to have a double mastectomy. Because I get to have a surgery that's going to help me reduce the chance of it reoccurring. Switching my brain to gratitude has changed every aspect of every moment of my day and my life. Getting breast cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me. On the days that I'm tired and I don't want to go to work, I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work because I have a job. I hate putting gas in my car. It's like one of the things I hate. I don't have to put gas in my car. I get to put gas in my car because guess what? I can afford a car and I can afford the gas to put in the car. How cool is that? And on and on and on with gratitude. If there's one thing that I hope people get from being around me and our program, it's one little philosophy, and I tell the recruits this, and I tell my student athletes this numerous times during the year. Life is about choice. And every choice you make is going to have numerous repercussions. And those repercussions are going to dictate the life you lead. Every choice starts with a thought. And unless you are mentally impaired, which quite a few people are, but unless you are, you have control over your thoughts. You can choose your thoughts. And granted, we all have negative thoughts that pop into our brain. You can choose to feed them or not. And if you just think about this, connect the dots, every thought that you feed is going to have an emotional reaction. Every emotional reaction is going to have an action to it. Every action of your day, even how you say good morning to someone, is going to have numerous repercussions that you don't even know about. Life is about choice, and the choices you make will dictate the life you lead. And since I went through breast cancer, I choose gratitude. Thank you. I'm done.